On today's episode of That Mental Ginger Show, we are talking to comedian Jimi Longmuir. Jimmy's a really great guy and owe a lot to him. Everybody knows that I was doing a bit of stand-up at the start of 2022. Jimi actually gave me my debut on stage, which was actually the first time I had been on a stage in almost 9 years, which is crazy to think about. Really owe a lot to him and was very grateful for him giving me the opportunity. We didn't just talk about comedy. We talked about some serious things and some humorous things. I mean, we're good like 70 odd episodes in now. You guys know my style. So why don't we just jump into it and cut to the intro.
All right, troops.
Hey man, how you doing?
Jimi, my friend, it has been a total of 2 months since I've seen you now. Like, the last time I saw you was in February at the International Comedy Festival. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
March, 8th and 9th of March, was it?
It was same dates. My apologies, my friend. I should have remembered that. It was my mum's 60th one of the days I was performing. Jeez Louise. Well, I thought time was flying, having fun. It still is flying because it's only about a month and a bit. So how was the rest of your run at the festival? I meant to ask.
Well, you were one of the last acts on. I don't think I performed again or anything actually. Well, I had gigs, but I'm pretty sure nothing else that I'd done was part of the comedy festival.
All right.
The rest of March. But I mean, probably 10 minutes time we'll be talking about something else and I'll shout out a gig that was at the comedy festival. I know it was a great experience.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I really appreciate you having me on. Not only asked me for one night, but then asked me back for a second. I was like, wow, that's wow.
Well, no, I mean, that was kind of the concept. There was a lot of people that weren't, for various reasons, getting to perform at the festival. And the first time I performed at the Glasgow Comedy Festival was at Trigger Warnings, but it was run by my friend Ed.
All right.
Back in 2019 at the Griffin Bar.
Yeah,
most of the open spots at the time basically got on, and I think we got actually more than we got on at McCool's in 2022. But
nice one.
I asked him if I could use the name, and he basically advised me on a lot of it. And I just went with the concept because I wanted to get a lot of people on, and you were talking about gigging and stuff, and I seen you were doing Zoom gigs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're actually about getting you to do a live gig again and then coming on your podcast, but we just kind of brought it forward so that you could be part of Trigger. Yeah,
it was the way it was just kind of work. I'd only done like 2 Zoom gigs or something like that. I think when you contacted me, and then I had my third just after we got it sorted, and then you messaged me about the dates and the times, and I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll go for it and see what happens. But I was absolutely bricking it because that was my first time back on a stage in almost 9 years. I was terrified, man. I had like a mini panic attack before I went on the first night. I had a full blown panic attack when I came off of the second night. It's like I came off the stage, right? I came off the stage and I couldn't remember anything from coming off the stage until I was home and my wife was holding me. And apparently I was greeting saying that I was a failure. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember anything in between those. I just remembered saying take care, stay safe, bye bye. And then I was like, how the fuck did I get home? Could not remember a bit of it.
I hope this isn't a prelude to fucking being sued for giving you psychotropic drugs or something.
No, definitely not. That's just my mental brain. I've had panic attacks like that before, but where it's just where if a stressor or trigger has got to me that much that I blacked out. Well, Alison's seen it a couple of times, so she knew what to do basically. But she said it was better than the first time because the first time it happened, apparently I just fell straight through the door of my house. Because I just lost because I didn't know what was going on. I just was straight home. And just apparently my legs just went dead and I just went straight in. So she was having to kind of prop me up and was like, are you okay? You all right? And it was about 5-10 minutes later and I'm like, Alison, how did I get home?
But you basically done well both nights.
Yeah. But I felt like the second night, I don't know what it was specifically. Well, I think it was just, I don't know in all honesty. Like, just that I felt it coming on. I was like, right. And I felt it start before I started my set. And I was like, right, just breathe, take your time, just work your way through it. As long as you can get through the set, you're okay. And then it just started ramping and ramping and ramping. And then it was like, once the set was done, it was like my brain just went, okay, switch off. And then what I say, the next thing I remembered was I was in my bed and Alison was holding me. I was like, you're okay, you're all right. And I'm like, of course I'm okay. What happened? She's like, okay, right, we're in trouble here. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me.
I think maybe.
No, carry on, my friend. Carry on.
I think maybe there's not enough due diligence to, or due. I'm trying to think of the words. I've not got it, but I don't think we really think enough about what it is we're actually doing on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's revelatory and confessional comedy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it might have just been something like that. But it's not like I've been shy about telling my story. I mean, this entire podcast is based on my story and getting people to open up about it, which is why I have to say we're not here to talk about my mental health. We're here to talk about you and your mental health.
All right, well,
and there's the one thing that I like to do to start off, Jimmy, is that I like to get my guests to tell my audience their origin story. And you being a superhero fan, the one thing they all have in common is that there's an origins. So, Jimmy, please, for my faithful followers, tell us your origin story.
Okay, which origin story do you want? Do you want the silver era origin story? Do you want the bronze era?
We've got to start. We've got to start. As long as it's not the new 52, we're okay.
Right. Well,
right. So we'll go with the golden age. Where were you born?
I was born in Bearsden.
Oh, nice one, man. Nice one. But so what was life like growing up for you in the golden age?
It was okay. It was okay. Half my family were really working class and half my family were really middle class. And my dad had a business. And I was pretty well off. I was an only child, but I was pretty well off. Nice. And the business went through varying degrees of success, I guess. And I moved out of it as a kid. And I went to a lot of different schools. I went all over the place. In fact, you've heard me do a joke about when you hear about people making about the joke about the specific area of Glasgow they're from. And I say, well, I was born in Bearsden, but I moved from Bearsden and I went to Milton. I moved back to Bearsden and from Bearsden and blah blah blah. And then I stood there for 10 minutes and then I don't have any material on that. I'm kind of all over the place. And to be honest with you, throughout most of my adult life, I've kind of resisted any kind of stability. But I like being kind of outside the grid.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe that's something to do also, because for anybody that's not listening to it or watching the audio or watching the video, watch the video, because there's a mural of DC behind them that is making me literally Green Lantern with envy. It's absolutely beautiful. Do you think it's maybe because of the kind of nomad superhero life, or is it that maybe it's the not settling one place, or is it just because your dad moved about with business and stuff like that?
Well, that's an oversimplification, but I think it's genuinely that, like, any one path that you're meant to be on in life, things that you're meant to do, just blow the fuck out of me, man.
Yeah.
Like I've always been like that. Like I was talking about this very thing like the other day. But I mean, I do like to contribute, but I don't. I mean, if I had a job in a bank and a couple of kids and basically the same thing all the time, like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I think I have to be doing the photography. I have to be putting on nights. I have to be performing. And if it wasn't those three things, it would be another three things. It'd be like DJing and spray painting, and again probably putting on nights.
Yeah.
But like, I just I don't know. But I mean, a lot of the time, obviously, I'm 45 now, so I see somebody like yourself who's got a good job and there's a very stabilizing thing when you're doing a podcast.
Mm.
And I think maybe I should be more focused on family and, you know, actually making money and things, but I'm not like that.
Hey, it doesn't matter, man. Whatever works for you is the main thing. As long as you're content with your lot in life, it doesn't matter what anybody else does or what anybody else thinks. As long as you're happy, that's the main thing. And I've noticed that the things that you chose were all creative. Like you said, if it wasn't like the photography and comedy stuff, it would be another three things, whether it be spray painting, DJing, or comedy. So they're all performance related. And that's something that a lot of performers have the same mentality, where they want to do a project and then they want to move on to the next project when they feel like they've ticked that off, and then they want to move on to the next project. Well, it's just the artist in you, my friend. I think we've got that simplification of your analogy. You're an artist. Well, artists love to challenge themselves and inspire and create. You see how I was digging myself out of that shite that I dug myself in earlier on?
Yeah, man.
Well, what got you into photography?
Well, I mean, I've always had an interest in it. I actually got accepted to Napier years ago to do photography for television, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
An origin story there for another life, but I'm not going to get into that.
No, it's all, whatever you feel comfortable with. I do not push. I do not pressure.
I liked photography. I liked just the idea of photography, and I started taking pictures when I got a decent phone. A couple of decent phones, obviously, like in the sort of mid 2000s, that you started getting like decent cameras and phones like Sony Ericssons and things, and Nokia and things started cameras, but they were like they look like old BBC micro fucking shots now, you know.
Yes.
But when my mum died, my mum was kind of really. My mum used to be a model, actually. She was really kind of photogenic, but when she got older, she didn't like the way she looked, and she didn't like any photographs taken. And when she died, I realised I had very few photographs. And my mum was, in the last 8 years I'd spent looking after her. And I got a really good phone. I got a Sony Xperia, and I just started taking photographs all the time, like literally all the time, like going for a long walk, taking photographs everywhere I was going, and it was almost like an OCD thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite a difficult time in my life, but I was thinking about this earlier on as well, man. Like, after my mum died, I was kind of at peace with the fact that she was gone. I really missed her. It was really sore.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really sore.
Yeah.
She hadn't been happy for a long time. She was deteriorating.
Yeah.
And I had freedom in my life. I had freedom to rebuild my life.
Yeah.
And I was taking a lot of photographs and ended up doing comedy. And I started taking photographs at gigs again on a phone. Not the same thing as having an actual camera.
Mm-hmm.
And after lockdown happened and stuff, and even during lockdown, I was taking photographs out in the street and landscape photographs and annoying people that I know by taking photographs at private events.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been doing comedy again, I've just always had my camera. I think there's like literally 3 gigs where I haven't had a camera. Like literally, honestly, out of about like at least 100 gigs by now.
Yeah.
Only about 3 have not actually been taking photographs the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, like, you are an exceptionally brilliant photographer. What?
That's really to say. Thank you, man.
No, I mean it, man. Like, obviously, like, you know me, like, I do my research, or as we just call it in normal terms, Facebook stalking.
We all do it.
We all do it. At least I've got an excuse. I say I've got an excuse to do it, and I just cover it up as market research. So basically, I was snooping through all your photos, and some of the shots that you do, and how you capture them as well, they're really good. And how you kind of emphasize the colors and what to get the pop, because I always love analyzing art and studying art and photography and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good. And the shots that you got from my stand-up ones, the 2 times that I can convince people I was on a stage, I can say, well, hey, they were for Jimmy. Yeah.
So can you give me 2 seconds to turn off my tablet? If notifications are on, it's doing my head in, man.
No worries, man. No worries. You take that time. It's hard work being a busy man.
I'm still going to see notifications up on the screen, which is going to annoy me, but at least I'm not going to hear them on the bloody tablet. Like,
Yeah, and that's fair enough, man. And you know, so as I do, like, because with some of that happens to go, oh, you can edit that out, and I'm like, this isn't an edited podcast. Life is unedited. What these things happen. They need to know that Jimmy is a busy man with a busy plan.
well, I don't know how, because I can't even switch my fucking tablet off.
It's the same.
I can't switch it off right now.
Wow. Well, is it just like stalled or?
It's just I'm trying to press power off, and it's just.
And tablets are a pain in the backside though. Like my boys have broke 4 tablets in 2 years. Well, it's ridiculous. I don't know how they do it, but those wee fuckers manage to do it.
Do you know how they do it? Because they're kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's them. Like, you know, you get the screen protectors and all these wee things to put in the back of tablets so they don't like bounce and break. These wee guys know how to do it. It's like we got a tablet that I got when I first got my Sky, and that was almost 7 years ago, and that has held out longer than these newer ones. It's outlasted 6 tablets, and this wee fucker is still going. Well,
is that what you do? Like, they break another tablet, and you pull it out the cupboard and go, see this tablet? That's older than you, and it's still in perfect working order.
Well, I just go, it's less of a disappointment. Obviously, I'm only joking because I love them very much, but now they're on that tablet now. Like when, we're trying to save up to get them another one to destroy. But it's just true what they say. They don't make them like they used to, do they? Even just 7 years ago, they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, man. But
so what was your first comedy gig like? Like, do you remember it?
Yeah, it was real. I'll send you it one time when it comes back up as a memory on Facebook. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was amazing. I've done Obi's course, you know Obi, John O'Brien.
Yeah. Obi's been on the podcast as well. Absolutely sound guy.
Yeah, I done his comedy course not long after that time I was talking about, with the taking loads of photographs and trying to find something that I knew I was working towards something, and I just kind of accidentally basically found comedy. Another story there that I'm not going to go into. Like, we'll
need to get you back for like another couple of episodes, like the many origins of. But it'll be like the Joker. Like, just like, yep. We'll just pick a multiple choice and let's go with this one.
It would just always be like Cesar Romero or Jack Nicholson, because it'll never be like Jared Leto or whoever else is playing him now, or Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Wacky Phoenix was all right, but we don't talk about Leto. We just don't talk about him in any type of genre now. We just can't.
To be honest, man, I think maybe his Joker was misunderstood. I think he made more sense in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, I think so as well. So you can't. It was bad that like 2 minutes of screen time in a 4-hour movie did better than the amount of screen time he had in Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I think it was too early in the franchise to introduce him as a Hannibal type or whatever he was, or it was weird because he basically had to be shoehorned in to do with Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And it was obviously like an abusive relationship as well, which didn't help.
Yeah.
There was all this stuff that the cinema going audience weren't used to with the Joker.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. This is all we're doing right now is proving that we know too damn much about comic books, mate.
Hey, we love tangents on this show. This is a show of tangents. This is why I don't like go right. I've got questions X, Y, and Z that I need to ask. Let my guest. I'm a nosy bastard. I am the Isa of podcasting. Well, I'll find something, I'll latch on it, and I'm like, right, I'm going to find out everything that I can here. Well, and the fact that you're wearing like a Green Lantern t-shirt, you've got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman behind you, the 1980s Batman poster in the background. Like this is the nerdvana for me. I am loving this. So since you've got the Green Lantern on, I've got to ask, Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern, discuss.
Another misfire. Another. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking there. there's some really good casting in it. Some good ideas, some nice special effects, but it was a Green Lantern film directed by a guy best known for James Bond. Like, also as well, it doesn't look like Jeff Johns lived up to his promise with the studios. He didn't do as well with the studios as he has done with the comics, which I think his comics are fucking great. Like, even we're talking about New 52 there, like the Justice League there was brilliant.
Yeah.
Earth, is it Earth 3 or Earth 2 Batman? Basically for the new Batman film. That was brilliant as well.
I think it was Earth 2.
Well,
well, anybody in the comments, let us know if we get it wrong.
Earth 1. Earth 1.
Ah, right. There we go.
Yeah,
so we don't need anybody in the comments. Like, Jimmy has like corrected himself. I'll need to get you on like my new show that I'm doing, like Super Ginge, where we talk about like Marvel, DC, all that kind of stuff. You will be brilliant on that, man. Once I've got the schedule sorted for it, you've got to come on it, and we can have a more deep dive, in-depth discussion.
I keep trying to read comics just now, man, and I can't really get myself into anything. I managed to read, going back to Jeff Johns, the 3 Jokers.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, I love the art. I love the art. It's the guy that does art's really good. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the name escapes me now, but I know who you mean. It's like I actually tried writing like some of my own kind of DC fan fiction. Well, it was like I was bored, and it was like the idea, the Flashpoint paradox always intrigued me. You know, the whole like, you know, like Bruce Wayne died and his dad became Batman. And I was like, what would have happened in other situations? What would have happened if, like, say, you know, instead of Barry's dad dying, it was Barry Allen, and Barry's dad became the Flash? What would happen if like Hal Jordan's like dad had killed Hal when his plane landed, and he wound up becoming Green Lantern? So it's like I was building up like I called it in my head the Justice Dads. So it was building up like that in my head, and I'm like, I was like, that could be quite interesting. My mates would read it at work, and they're like, how have you not got these published? I'm like, because I don't have a fucking clue. It's like, this is just stuff I'm messing about with on my lunch break, man. It was the same, like the one that I ran with the most was what if Kal-El had died, but his father Jor-El had survived. And with the getting away, and it was him that landed at Smallville and became friends with Jonathan Kent. And the way I built it built so like Jonathan Kent basically became his Lex Luthor.
Right.
The way I worded it was I did like a 4-part kind of arc in my head, and wrote it all down. My mate's like your other stuff's good. This is the one that you've really got to run with, man. Like, this is you've been really looking at the character. You've clearly been studying it, and I'm like, I just don't want to do my day job. So I've just I was just going with what I knew and just making up stories. And yeah, they say this. So who knows?
That actually sounds quite intriguing, because you can like frame it like basically it was the influence of Kal-El, of raising Kal-El, that that stabilized Jonathan and I guess Martha as well, Kent.
Yeah.
But without like Superman, without Kal-El, without Clark, the 2 people that birthed him become his enemies. That's really that's quite deep, man.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing that I was thinking was like Cal coming as a baby, like, and getting raised in a human culture, is easier to adapt. But what if it was someone who was already like an L, and it was a fish out of water kind of scenario? Where the kind of the way that I kind of developed it was like at the end of like one of the arcs, another pod lands and it's Kara.
Right.
And the way it kind of went is basically like Kara kind of gets adopted by them, and then because she wants to help Jor-El with his stuff, she dies in battle, and that's what turns Jonathan blames him because he's adopted her like a daughter. And the only person that he knows that can actually take down any kind of alien threats or is working on it is Lex Luthor. So he goes to work for him. Wears all his secrets and tries to go out on his own revenge mission. And then Lex is like, that's not the way I want to do it. It's all about the build. It's all about studying it. So Jonathan kills him, and it's like that. It's like, and takes over the company. It's like the company's mine now. So that's how he becomes Jor-El's Lex Luthor.
Aye.
Well, and I was like, so yeah, for anybody listening, that has been copyrighted. I have copyrighted that shit. Well, just in case.
I think that's a really interesting aspect of a lot of the DC stories and the touchstones of DC, like legacy and upbringing, and basically and people adopted by people, and people broken people looking after each other and things, man. It's it's human.
It's something it's something that's always intrigued me, because I'm a Star Trek fan as well. So, and I always loved the Mirror Universe stories where you got to see humanity just be real bastards. Well, and it was just like humans were like, the humans just became dictators and like essentially like the Nazis of the galaxy, like trying to enslave people and stuff. I always like seeing alternate versions of how things can play out, and that was kind of what
darkness then.
Yeah, it's just I like that kind of stuff. Like, it's always something that really interests me.
Darkness. What do you think of a version of Khan into darkness? Are you down with it, or do you think it's all the shit?
I just wish that they hadn't tried to copy so much of Wrath of Khan, innit? The ideas that they had were really good. Like Khan was a lot more sympathetic as a villain. Like Benedict Cumberbatch, the way he played him was really good. Well, I mean, everybody knew that John Harrison was the alias for Khan. We all fucking knew. We knew what was coming. It was the worst kept secret in history. But I just wished that they didn't just role reverse the Spock death and then doing the like bringing him back with the super blood. And I was like, okay, you've just basically of a trouble. I was like, so you can cure death with a trouble. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds so fucking ridiculous. And this is Star Trek, man. Well, and then the second I saw Chekhov in a red shirt, I was like, oh my God, please don't tell me they're going to do what I think they're going to do. And then the ultimate irony of what happened to that poor actor. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Really? Even give him a red shirt fake?
You're going to have to blame the costume. Or the darkness for what happened to poor Anton Yelchin.
Yep. I think that should be like you know how Michael Jackson's doctor got done for killing him? Same deal.
Yeah. Has he actually been done with that? Has he actually been?
Yeah, he's in jail. He's in jail as far as I know, yeah. I'm not sure for how long, but I know that he got convicted. So
that's Conrad King, wasn't it, or something? What the guy's name was?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, he got done. Well, because I always remember watching bringing us back to comedy slightly. I remember watching the Peter Kay, especially when he's talking about like the skybox, like he's like they're trying to empty the planner to get more space, and he's like, why have you got the Michael Jackson documentary? He's like, oh, let's see what happens. Doctor did it, delete. Well, I just burst out laughing. I was like, oh man, it's brilliant. But yeah,
I wonder what his life in prison's like. Like, what you in for? I killed the king of pop.
Yeah.
Well, over the space of 20 years by just fucking giving them every single drug.
Yeah. It's like what are you in prison for? Saying yes. Because that was basically it. Like, who's going to refuse the king of pop, Ed? And it was like how like Elvis died in the crapper because he had so many pills in his system. Some that were wanting to make him take a shit, some that were preventing him from taking a shit. It put the pressure on his heart trying to force out the shit, and it killed him. So imagine being the guy that said, I clogged up Elvis Presley's bowels and now he was dead. Well, imagine being that doctor that provided all those pills and just totally fucked his insides.
It's not that. It's all these guys die. Like, I mean, it's a shame. I'm not laughing at the fact they died so young.
No,
they died like 40. Like
yeah.
Prince. And
I know.
Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson will die about 40 and 50, and everybody's, oh my God, how did they die so quickly? And then you read the toxicology reports. And you're like, how were they alive so long?
Yeah, it's like the same with like Whitney Houston as well. Like she died because she OD'd and then she passed out straight down the bathtub and that was it. And it's like, and they go, oh my God, they were so young. How did they die? And it's like, I'm more so impressed at how they stayed alive.
Yeah, but it's like just now. looking at what's happening with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, like all that stuff, man, they're talking like 8 hours a day, a really, really personal, horrible stuff of a relationship, and the entire world's fixated on it. I honestly think all that testimony should be outlawed from being put out there, because I've looked at some of it and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I definitely don't want to be famous.
Yeah, it's something that obviously has been hitting a bit personal with me, because I was in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And I did after the Slapgate thing, I did my own kind of my video about it, about my story, and then hearing that as well, I'm like, it just proves that it's not always one-sided. It's not always the guy doing it, but at the same time, it's not always the women doing it either. Like in their case, yes, she's been more of it, but they're both quite bad. They are both quite bad. Like they've both been through, they've both done a share.
I think we're dealing with a narcissistic relationship.
Yeah.
It's a toxic relationship. Both parties should agree it's a toxic relationship, just agree to stay away from each other. But the narcissist needs to look like the victim no matter what, come what. And they will end up on TV giving their entire life story and every single intimate detail, text messages, everything going out to the world in order to try and prove that they're a victim. And it's horrible to watch, because I've been in an abusive relationship as well. I've been in a really, I don't want to call it an abusive relationship, I want to call it a toxic relationship. But it was not long after my mum died, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to process and cope with. So I see all the markers in Amber Heard, but I also see a fucking fool in Johnny Depp. I see an old guy that should have known better than to get into that relationship, and clearly he did. But it's I think if you can't take responsibility for getting into those relationships, then you're doomed to do it again.
No, definitely. And it was one of the things that, like, when I had to go to like my therapy and stuff after what had happened, it's like the hardest thing to admit was that I wasn't a saint, that I wasn't as bad as the person that was doing it to me, but I was bad. As because it's a sick thing to say, but it rubs off on you. Well, your mind, it's like your mind gets twisted with it as well. Then you start, once you're out of it, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was like that. But at the time I thought that was okay, and I can't believe it was like that. And it's not until somebody finally gets that break away from it that it happens. But I still remember the line that I used to break up with her, and it was, I think it was personally, it was genius. Because she said, like, I think we need a break, and I said, if I want a break, I'll have a Kit Kat. Fuck off, we're done.
Okay.
So I personally think that was a great line. What do you think?
I think as exit lines go, I guess it was a good one. I wish like the 40 million exit lines I'd used had actually been the last one, but I was in a relationship for 9 months that I knew was bad for me within 9 minutes. Like it's but I don't hate the person. Like I just wish I'd had more sense than to get involved, But I think as well, I was looking to be fixed by somebody. I was kind of broken at the time. And if you're advertising that you're looking to be fixed, it's not going to work.
Especially because they'll try and fix you in the way that they think is right, but their version isn't always right. Like, because I was broken when I went into that relationship. Well, I was broke, and I hadn't been officially diagnosed with my mental health, so I still didn't know kind of what was wrong with me, and just thought, well, if I'm in a relationship, that'll fix things. Boy, how wrong was I? But you live and you learn, as they say. And as much as it was a painful thing to go through and it can be triggering, I don't regret doing it, because I think it needed to happen to get me to the place that I'm at now and become the person that I am. And I personally think I'm doing all right,
No, I really regret the relationship I was in. Like, really regret it, because it started It was somebody that I'd actually been in contact with online for a long time. And then when I started doing comedy, I started seeing photos of me on stage and stuff.
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden started messaging me all the time.
You not find that when you start getting on stage and things like that, it seems to attract the fanny.
Yeah, well, no, not putting it like that, but like it did.
Yeah.
It did
Yeah.
attract.
So, but cutting the tension, my friend, trying to cut the tension. That's what I do.
But it was quite hard to try and make a name for myself in comedy. While I was in a vortex of a toxic relationship, you know, and
yeah,
I've been in a toxic kind of friendship just before it as well with somebody that was also comedy, so that didn't really help. But like, but honestly, the things that happened in my life around then, it was my phone kept breaking when she was around, my cat got ill, just all this really, really strange stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And then I found out that the person that she'd been going out with before committed suicide. And like, and she was with a guy a while ago, man. And like, he was obviously had mental health issues and things, but he was a guitarist in a punk band. And now he's not anymore. Now he's like a fucking housebound anti-vaxxer. Who the last thing I heard about him was that he changed his profile photo on Facebook to him in a gimp suit fucking playing guitar.
Wow. That's an origin story.
Some of the things, that's not an origin story. That's an end of life statement.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, some of the things were happening. Not even to this day. I get sent a video over, just a very strange video over, like about 6 months ago, and I'm almost certain it's herself that sent it to me. I found a sigil under my bed.
Yeah.
Like, and I showed it to my friend. It's into witchcraft and things like that, and she said it was designed to keep my wounds open. it was like a strange symbol with her name continually written, and it was actually under my bed. I didn't find it until I'd been split up with her for over a year.
Wow.
That is. I don't think it was like literal magic, but I do think it was a product of a very disordered mind. It was.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're in a relationship like that, you don't, like you're saying, you don't see it all properly until you're outside of it, looking back in. You know, it's. And I stayed with her a sort of combination of pride, lust, compassion, and just general fucked upness, like.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. It's like it gets to a stage where you genuinely think that if you walked, who on earth would take you, bar the person that you're with?
Yeah.
Because they've made you think that no one would ever appreciate you. What aside to
that wasn't my experience. When I knew she was seeing somebody else, I was just like taking attitude. I've got Tinder too, motherfucker. And like nice. And getting on Tinder and then being just as bad as her because I'm cheating on her and she's cheating on me. And then pretending we're in a relationship, but really all what we're doing is fuck knows, you know. But I know it's ended well for a lot of guys over the years.
Yeah.
I became very close friends with somebody that she went out with before me. And that guy pretty much saved my life, man, because I was close to like starting to use drugs and self-harm and things like that again. But I just you know that way, you know, when somebody's plotting your downfall, you're just not going to let it fucking happen. You know?
Oh, definitely, man. But you're in a much better place now anyway. Like the stuff that I see you doing with the comedy and let's say your photography and stuff, like you're doing absolutely brilliant, man. Like, and good on you. Like you're deserving what's coming your way. Like, and I mean that sounded a bit sinister. That wasn't what it was meant to sound like, but you know what I mean? It's like you're deserving all the good, positive things that have been happening to you.
I mean, I don't owe anything. I don't owe my quote unquote success to Lorraine. I can guarantee you there's at least half the things that I'm doing now I wouldn't be able to do without her support. You know, she's just one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. She's fucking absolutely amazing, man. Like, every time I talk about it, I'm always ready to burst into tears, man. She's she's great.
Yeah. That's just how you know that's the person. Like whenever I talk about Alison as well, like you get the natural smile, and you just feel like, you just want to say, like, if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would be. Well, I get it, man. And
Yeah, man.
it's like I never get a chance to properly like speak to her like the nights because I was like, either having a panic attack or feeling like I was going to be sick. But yeah. Well, I'd seen like when you were up doing like the MC stuff, like I would have a wee glance over and just seeing the pride in her face watching you do the stuff. It was really sweet to see. I just thought I was like, man, that's awesome.
You know, I only see the mortification. Jokes or something like.
No, like genuinely, man, like she was like, it's all smiles and everything. I was like, that's what you want to see. Like that's the type of thing that more comedians need, like to see the people that they love supporting them. And that was just it was just like a singular moment that I was really glad to see. Like, and I was glad that I witnessed it.
That's nice.
So what else have you got coming up, man? Sell your wares, my friend.
I've got Granny Giggles, which is I think of as my core night. I'm doing down in Granny Gibbs in Whiteinch next to Tesco Garage.
Nice.
That's on the 5th of May. I've got D Maxwell headlining, Eddie McKenzie opening, Nico Nidlovu, Brian Kavanagh, Kathleen Hughes, and Robert Jordan are the opens.
Nice.
On the 7th of May, I've got a new night called Crushing It at Club 100 that I'm doing with somebody that's been on your show actually.
Colin Mcgregor. Yes.
Yeah, very nice guy. He came to Trigger Warnings as well.
He did indeed. Yes. How many friends, Sean?
Yeah, and Sean Gibbs, isn't it? Yeah.
Sean Higgs. He was on the show as well. Great guys. Really good guys. Got a lot of time for them.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a night at Club 100 in Motherwell. That's on the 7th of May.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, 7th of May, and Graham Mackey headliner. We've got Ryan Wingfield.
Yeah.
Opener. He's done Trigger Warnings as well. He's a fantastic act. He's from Alaska. And not enough people know about Glasgow. He's hoping to get some headline spots, which I think he absolutely deserves because he's just everything about his comedy is fucking top notch. He's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And in between, we've got Claire Michael doing a middle spot, another friend of the show.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. Claire and me go back to the old school drama days.
The infamous first stage kiss.
Yes. I owe her so many more apologies for that. Because that was when I was in that abusive relationship at the time as well. My head was warped, man. It was crazy. So yeah, I will clear a multitude of apologies for that one.
And then we've also got Chris Wright, who you know as well.
Yes, very funny man, very funny. Love him.
Yeah, and Brian Kavanagh, another great new act. I'm going to come back to both of them in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And also, last but absolutely by no means least, Colin McGregor himself is doing a spot.
I'm really chuffed to see that because Colin is such a great guy. It's so funny. So supportive of anything that anybody does. He's a great person to have in your corner.
Definitely. And we've also got another night booked for the 4th of June, same place, Club 100 Motherwell, and D Maxwell's headlining again.
Oh, nice.
And I've not booked out the entire lineup, but I think I might have Adele opening for it, but I'll need to check again. I'm pretty sure Adele Buckmeyer. You know Adele?
Yes.
Adele?
Yeah. She was at Trigger Warnings as well, wasn't she? She was really good. Yeah, she was really funny.
Yeah. She had a fucking toast.
Man.
And it another new night as well. Lincoln Laughs. 20th of May. D Maxwell headlining, Eddie McKenzie. I'm not getting mixed up, it's genuinely the same people. Eddie McKenzie opening of Mick Murphy, Kathy McSherry, Chris Spot, and Ross Daly. So
yes.
Yeah. So it's quite nice. I'm working with some of the same people quite a lot, and I know I'm relying on them to do their job, and it's a lot of fun doing these nights, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. And it's something that I noticed, like being that kind of observer of the comedy scene. You always seem to find it's like anything else. You find the guys that like you say, they're reliable, trustworthy, not going to make an arse of it. And you get them in, and you get a good kind of flow with them. And it's really great to see that, like, when I see you putting them up and go, seeing like Brian's name coming up and Chris's name coming up, I'm like, oh, shared the stage with them. Ah, nice one. It's like, oh, they're getting more gigs. Oh, brilliant. It's like,
man, you should get back out there with us. There's a lot of nights you can do.
Well, I've just
Brian, he'd messaged me for a spot at Granny Gibbs and offered to send a video and things, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't really like booking somebody in the strength of a video, and I feel pretentious when I say that, but I genuinely am more likely to book somebody doing badly in real life than I'm doing well in a video. Like, there's just something about actually seeing them.
Yeah,
you'll get their vibe better even if they don't do well. If that makes any sense.
No, totally. I get what you mean, man. Well, there's something about like a live experience. And like it's not just the energy of the performer, it's how the crowd react to them, how they respond. Like, even if it's a bad response, you're still getting a response. Like, if there's any like anything that could throw them off, how would they improvise with that? How would they combat it? Would it throw them off their game? How would they do? What are they like interacting with the other comedians? What are they like after their set's done? So you get a lot more of that. Whereas if you're just sending a tape with them doing stuff, they could just cheers it and put like the taped audience in the background.
But with Brian though, like, I'd never met him before, but we all done a gong show.
Yeah.
In Hamilton at Junkyard, and I always do bad gong shows. Like, I knew I wasn't going to go through, so I just deliberately front loaded my set with all the worst jokes. I started out with my wanking joke and Prince Andrew and Jimmy Savile, and
yes,
and every disgusting joke I could think of. Literally, and at the end of the 2 minutes, the fucking gong shot up like it was a magnetic effect. Like, it just went straight up. Like,
just that was what like Magneto was just at the top going, okay.
This guy's gone, man. No way, man. Like, it was well because I couldn't. There was nowhere to go from there because I'd literally done all my worst jokes, you know. Like, but anyway, and Brian gonged out quite early as well. Chris went through because he does, because everybody likes him on stage. And
he's got that presence about him though. And it's the same like he's with his one-liners on Facebook as well. I see one of them and it's like, if I'm having a shitty day, I'm like, I'll just look and see if he's done a one-liner. I'm like, yep, that's me. I'm back.
Yeah, man, he's up to 7 in the morning writing 400 jokes.
Yeah.
There's a club called Write 10 and he routinely writes 100.
Oh, man.
But I mean, when me and Chris are walking down the stairs and there's Brian, I'm not joking, right? Like, he's standing with his hands in his pockets and kicking the ground right at the edge of the train platform.
Yeah.
And me and Chris were like, Brian, no, don't jump, it was only a gong show.
I mind you saying that when you were doing the MC, and I was like, is that legit? But I did not want to ask just in case.
Yeah, he wasn't. He clearly wasn't going to jump. But he was very depressed. Like, and it was just the way he was standing there. I wished I'd had my camera out, like, to do a photo of it. Man. And then so we ended up going home to Glasgow. And honestly, man, it was just one of those nights where you just do not stop laughing, you know.
Yeah.
So it was I booked him for figure warnings was not long after that. So it was it was to be, man.
Yeah, no, he was really good because me and him were also on round about the same time each night. And he was really good for me as well. Like, he helped settle me a bit, and I think he probably could tell that I was absolutely shitting my pants. And he was like, look, you'll be all right. Like, just breathe. So no, he was a really good guy. I didn't realize that he had kids as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And
I think he's got kids.
Yeah, because he put up like a joke about something about like about not having kids. What was kind of the end bit, and I've responded like, I agree, you should not have kids. And then I didn't realize that he had kids, and I seen through it. I'm like, oh fuck, what did I just do? So I messaged him. I was like, because he removed the comment. I was like, fuck, did I piss him off? I was like, I didn't know he had kids. I was only joking. I'm a dad myself, as you know. So I messaged him. He was like, mate, the only reason I removed it is because it was so funny. I was planning on keeping it for one of my sets. And I was like, all right, well, you can take it. It's fine. You can take it. It's also didn't piss you off.
Actually, I was thinking about that. Yes, I don't know if do you get like suicidal ideation?
Yes, I do. But yeah, because that was the joke that I made. And Trigger Warner's talking about it. Let's saying like you get suicidal ideation where you always think that you want to die, but you don't have any intention of doing it. So of course, me doing stand-up comedy is a great fucking idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to cut this out, but like I was getting a train to a gig the other day, and I was just feeling pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty fucking down. Actually, I didn't want to go to the gig. I didn't want to take any photographs.
Yeah.
Didn't want to perform. I just didn't want to go to Edinburgh. I just fucking didn't want to live. And there was a train coming, and this wee voice in my head going, "Just jump in front of the fucking train. It'll only take 2 minutes."
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, right, what Brian's face would look like if he'd found out that I'd jumped in front of. I'm not joking. Jumped in front of it, and I'm like, no, man, that's too on the nose.
Yeah. That could be something that you could have for your set though, like to introduce them. Because as much as it is like it's a dark start, but you've got the build up for the end of it as well.
But I went on the gig. I got photographs. I got some fucking great photographs from Middle Editing right now, and I've done really well at the gig. So
you can't complain there, can you?
But sometimes your whole being's telling you that you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Everybody hates you. You ought to just start taking drugs, and go and die in a corner. You know that you think something funny, and you go, fuck it, man, let's go.
Yeah, it's the same. Like sometimes I'm driving home from work, and I come up to if I'm on the motorway and I come up to a cut off, I just think, I could just take my car and just right over there, done. That's me. Wow, it'd be so easy to do. And it's I mean, there's been times where I've been stood in my kitchen, and just felt horrible. And I've had a knife and I've just had it in my wrist, just been like, right, this would just be so easy to do. Just along the vein, that's it, bleed out quicker, done, that's you. And there was times when I was going through my psychosis, and I was seeing and hearing things that weren't there and stuff, there was times where I genuinely thought that I was doing that, and then I would snap back in, I'm like, where the fuck's the knife? Why is there no blood? It's the most disturbing thing when you can't trust your own sense of reality. It is really scary. But it's also why I try and make jokes about the stuff, like that type of stuff.
I think about it as well, like, do it to cry for help, and then it's like, what if no cunt hears it?
Yeah. Well, it's more like, the things that would stop me, it'd be like, jump in front of that train, and then the other half's going, what about all those people that won't get home?
That happened to me actually coming back from the gig, man. Like, I had to get that back to the Central Station because somebody jumped in front of a train.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, man.
I know. Well, it's scary how often it really happens.
Yeah, man.
Like hearing stories like guys that have been walking on the tracks at High Street, and someone spotted them, phoned the police and had to cancel the trains to get this guy off the tracks because he was just waiting on the train coming to get him. And I'm like, bloody hell. Well, it's hard to see, and it's why, like, even though I do feel uncomfortable sometimes making the jokes about mental health, I feel like at the same time I have to do it because it helps break that kind of stigma a little bit of going, look, we all go through it, but you can't, there are some things you can, I know it sounds sick, but you can laugh about it if you're if you've been through it and you've got the way out and you're comfortable talking about it. But if people don't like it or at the gigs or whatever, it's perfectly fine for them to go and not sit to it. The last thing you want to do is make anybody feel uncomfortable or make anybody feel bad. And that's something.
It's funny you say that because I distilled basically all the sort of toxic elements of that relationship into a series of punchlines, which I then wrote in my hand. And then I make out I went on a Tinder date and all this stuff like BDSM, dogging, toxic relationship, gaslighting, wanking monkeys, and Jimmy written in my hand. Yeah. And Tinder date turned out because she's read all these fucking things off my hand. Like, I've realised as well, I distilled into the essence of that relationship into a series of punchlines that were unhealthy for me. And not only that, it looked like I was kind of kink shaming or something, like, because, like, and it's not, there's ways to discuss your experiences, there's ways to make light of your experience, but you have to be careful how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
You know, I'm saying all this right now. I probably will do that bit again. Like, but it's something to think about. If you're night after night, you're going out there, and BDSM, dogging, toxic relationship, gaslighting, you know, and like, and I will do it again because it's a fucking great bit.
Yeah, it definitely sounds it. Yeah.
But it's, I think people thought I was going to be kink shaming or something, but all of those elements were part of the toxicity of that relationship.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, man.
It was worse even. Like, I read her text one time because some guy kept phoning her and ended up just looking at her phone.
Mm.
It was text messages between them. She'd like said that she'd all this stuff, and I actually like not read out the text. I didn't have her phone, but I said from memory what I'd read in her text on stage 2 days later.
Wow.
Yeah, and like it was, what was it, something about, she said something about, I can't believe we broke the bed, and she said, and I was like, the joke was, I took it the wrong way. I thought they'd been trampolining, like. But then, like, there was an act. It was at that gig, and then 2 weeks later, I'm back with this person, and like, and the act's going like that to me. Is that the person that you said that stuff about 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Like,
oh man. Oh, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, but I mean, in my defence, I wouldn't have looked at her phone if some guy hadn't been phoning continually.
Yeah.
You know, and she was passed out in another room. You know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I was going out my way to fucking look at those texts, man.
Aye. But it's one of those ones that, like, from what you told me about the relationship, what I understand it. And in fairness, I'm ginger. We have no souls. You don't need to justify it to me. You're all cool.
It's when you start talking about all that stuff, man. It's like a rabbit hole. You find all this stuff that you make excuses for. And even to this day, years later, when you're telling the story of it, you're still making excuses for things that happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's unreal. When you're just like, it's like if I ever bring up that ex, I can't call the person by their name. I call that person the Thing, or I used to call them Mrs. Voldemort. And I was like, but no, I would rather use his name. So I thought it was an insult to Voldemort, so I stopped using it. But it's like, even like if I'm at out with my mum and dad or whatever, because it was I never had a good relationship with mum and dad when I was with that person. And I remember we were talking about someone was like, oh, when did that when was it we did this? And I was like, oh, that was when I was with the Thing. And my dad instantly spat on the floor. Well, just straight away he was like, no, just no. I was like, wow. At least no, it's not just me that left the scar.
That's what a toxic person does. So they work to isolate you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that's
other people with my ex, whatever, next narcissist, whatever. And it's what they do. They isolate their target. It's like being prey. It's fucking horrible, man.
Yeah. It's like it's worse than that. At least with like prey, eventually they kill you off. Well, that's when they just leave you hanging, and just dangling like some like decaying worm. Well, you're just left there, and you're like, come on, just get it over with. Just do it. And it's bad when you're actually saying that to them. It's like, I remember one of the things I was like just what I was like, I actually said to her, just kill me because I'd rather that than be with you.
I didn't that to mean, but I know it was horrible, man.
It is, but like I say, there's been better days ahead for me. There's been much better days ahead for you, my friend. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and share the stage with you. Is that I will be coming to one of the gigs that you mentioned. I can't say I can't say on air, because it's a surprise for a certain someone, but I will be there. It's just the case, like, the person doesn't listen to any of these, but it's just my luck that in the off chance that person would listen to it and be like, you get. So I will round off with the final question that I ask all my guests.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to anyone struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
Build a better Batmobile. Whatever you're doing, find a more economical, streamlined way of doing it. And it's from Grant Morrison's Batman run. And I just like the idea of everything I'm doing is I'm building my own Batmobile.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That leads me to like an extra question. What was your favorite Batmobile? What was your favorite incarnation of it?
Batmobile. It's got to be the 89.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the animated series. When I was a kid, that was around my time. So I liked the artwork of the Kevin Conroy Batmobile. I thought it was really sleek and really stylish as well. But I don't know what the effect they were thinking with the tumbler. I know they were trying to do it to make it more kind of realistic, but to me, I was just like, what the hell is going on here? I was like, how is this meant to come from the mind of Morgan Freeman?
It's funny, you mentioned the tumbler immediately. I actually seen and heard Morgan Freeman speak in my head there.
Oh, you just hear. That's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
I love the bit in the Dark Knight Rises. So he's like, so you're telling me that your boss is a vigilante who spends his night speaking up criminals, and your plan is to blackmail this person?
It's just the best part because you're sitting watching it as well, and obviously you're immersed in the story. And then that line just kind of clicks it back in. You're like, wait a minute, that really was a dumbass thing that guy just done. But I think if it was someone that wasn't Morgan Freeman saying it, maybe like if it like Michael Caine's Alfred would be the only other person that would have got away with saying that type of line in that type of way. I wouldn't have seen it in, like, for example, like the Michael Keaton one, or like especially not the Val Kilmer one. Well, we don't talk about bat nipples. We don't talk about bat nipples.
Have you seen that film Val?
Yes.
That's an amazing film. That was so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. And it's got a good nostalgic feel because it's old video footage. When they never really did that type of thing back then. With the kind of back.
I really enjoyed that in lockdown, and I think it might have influenced me a bit to just go fucking crazy taking photographs. I feel a bit of a contentious figure sometimes in comedy and stuff. Yeah. And I've had my share of the drama, so I'm not going to mention any of that. But I do want to like have photographs of it all the good things, like because it's really good things I take photographs of, and it's stuff that I'm just always going to want to see. And I've also got a long plan for it, but I'm not going to discuss that just now. But I love just being there and just getting those photos, you know.
It's the same kind of deal why I do like the podcast, like when my great aunt died like during COVID. One of the things that I really missed was hearing her voice. And obviously that's one of the first things that kind of goes is like you forget what their voice sounds like. And I was like, I don't ever want that kind of feeling for like anybody, like for example, for my boys, like if God forbid something bad was to happen to me, when they were too young to really remember me, ask what was my dad like. At least they could go on, they could listen to these and see what the shows and see the podcast. So they're like, that's who he was, and that's what he was like. And so that little piece of what my kind of essence still kicking about.
Yeah. What I was saying about my mum and not having enough photographs of her, my dad clearly didn't get the fucking memo because he still doesn't like me taking photographs of him. Wow. I've got a few photographs of the past couple of years, but he just doesn't like any photograph taken. It's just it's a generation thing.
Yeah, some of them just didn't like it, or like if they had to get their photo taken, like there was never a smile. Well, it was always looking like they were just about to go to war. And speaking of which, we will come to Hal Jordan's favourite segment, Ask Andrew Anything. I want to say Hal Jordan because it's the Green Lantern. Gotta be.
Okay, when are you getting back on stage? Like on stage, not Zoom?
I am going to be back on stage on the 27th of May.
Is that one?
Yeah, that's with Cavita. Yeah. So then I actually just got booked for Junkyard as well.
Right, cool. What date's that?
The dates haven't been confirmed, but it'll be in June.
Right.
So for 2 nights, one will be to try new material, and one will be like a proper set. Right. And so I'll counter like your question with another question. When you getting me back?
I've been thinking about this. I've had so many people asking. A lot of my rooms are quite rough. Not rough, but they're rooms in kind of working class areas, pubs.
Yeah.
I don't want to put anybody off doing stand up. But I'm thinking about doing a couple open mic nights, more like in the middle of town,
Yeah,
in the West End, and I fucking absolutely will have you on again.
no,
Like,
definitely, man. I appreciate it.
but
Because when you said
but
that I'd done well, I was like, because of that, that wee voice in the back of the head that we were talking about. When you were like, "Oh, you done well," my brain was like, "What dope was he smoking?" But
you did done well. I think you expected to do better on the second night, and that's what fucked with your head. But you done well both nights, really. I've just had the same issue with Colin McGregor, actually, who doesn't believe that he done that well the second time. And I watched the video, fully expecting to have to look for good things in it, but it was very easy to find a lot of positives in the video. It was a different set from his first time.
Yeah.
But it was, on the whole, it was two absolutely fine open spot performances. I mean, as comedians, we're all very hard on ourselves, man.
Yeah. It's a performer's trait, isn't it? We're always looking for that. It's like an OCD thing. We're trying to look for that flaw to figure out, right, that was what I did, and how am I going to improve it? It's a constant need for approval.
But honestly, there was very little actual difference between your two performances at Trigger Warnings, and I'd absolutely book you again.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to get back on the stage, especially since it was so long since I've been on.
No, honestly, I absolutely love Trigger Warnings. It was great. It was great to do.
Yeah,
great to have so many people do it, participate in the first place, and even better that so many people actually had so many good things to say about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But and by the way, a lot. I mean, loads of the credit there goes to Unchained Comedy in McCool's and James Peter for their input, because without Peter's camera influence and James's technical know-how, it would have looked like a very different show.
No, it was great all round. Like the entire event went really smoothly. And I was really proud to be part of it. And I really did appreciate it. And for my faithful followers, where's the best places that they can find you on all the socially things?
I'm actually on all socials. Jimmy Jock at JIMIJOKK. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and unfortunately for some reason my TikTok's Jimi Longmuir.
All right.
But I don't really use my TikTok. But I literally done a video on TikTok saying all my socials were at Jimmy Jock on an account that's Jimi Longmuir.
The ultimate irony is not lost on me. If you get send me just like obviously the one at Jimmy Jock on the in our chat or whatever. I will get it added to the description below this video when it goes out. Well, everybody, my faithful followers, please give Jimmy some love, give him some support, because he's given me the same, and he got my confidence back. And it's something that I'm really appreciative of, and I want to return the favor.
Thanks, man.
So until next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been Jimi Longmuir. As I say, for a lot of people, one of the funniest motherfuckers I've seen. And who knows, you might see him on Super Ginge at some point in the future.
I think with this conversation, we will.
Yeah, definitely. So until next time, take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.